Alright, so this is the first time an oil pan's ever come off. And typically we're working on engines that have already been apart, so this one's a little special. You pull all the bolts out and it won't move, will it? It won't move at all. So let's go ahead, steer clear of that stud, but we're gonna start driving that, a really strong putty knife around. Go ahead, don't even be scared. They do have an oil pan seal cutter, but yeah, harder. You're gonna have to con huevos, like you had breakfast, right? That's what I just said. Yep. And then keep working it, but go nice and flat, right? Like that. Go ahead. Right there. Ahí está. More. Don't be scared. Con huevitos.
See? Using meat crab.
Now that went in some, so that's, you're getting somewhere. Maybe get a new spot right here on the corner. Sometimes it'll go in one rip, and if it doesn't, just kind of move a little bit and it'll make a little more. See how that's going? Yep, send that one through. Good. Now keep running it in this direction, and you'll see it's gonna split it. They have an oil pan splitter that's basically like this, except it's stubby, so you can do it in the car. It's actually a tool you should get. Chase it right along this, so kind of like, I'd go like that right there. Send that corner in, and then you can rip that whole thing. See, you got quite a bit there. Now pull it and send the whole thing through one more time, because I think you cut most of the seal, but probably on the inner edge it might not have. And you'll see it's coming. Yep. And then keep chasing it right around the corner. And like what some people do, they'll just blast a screwdriver through it, and then the pan is dented and deformed, you know, so what you're doing is better.
How can I get it on this corner?
You could come in from this way. Yep, and just be careful of that stud right there. Keep it flat. See, lift your hand up so it's flat. Up a little higher. Tough right there, huh? All right, if that spot's kind of rough, come to the other side of this stud and chase it that way. But you'll see it's going to get to the point where it's kind of starting to let go more. But what you never want to do is do it at much of an angle. Like right there is great. If you do it up, you'll kind of bend the pan. You're there. Keep going. You can tell when it's starting to cut the seal, right?
Yeah.
See, it's going in. Good, and now do the same thing kind of off in that direction. And then you'll see, once you get a good section of it, it'll start to really loosen up. But it's getting it started, that's the tough part. Yeah, see that? How much easier it's going? The heat gun won't really melt the FIPG though. Yep, keep chasing it. And then as you're doing that, what I'm going to do just to help you out is I'm going to start putting a little up pressure on this. Some people would use a screwdriver, but a screwdriver puts too much contact at one point and kind of bends it. You could maybe do a pry bar, but do it real carefully. The pry bar should just be putting a little pressure. Yeah, see? You're getting pretty good, but you're probably running out of handle. Now you come back this way. But see, you're getting closer. You could hear it kind of up. Right? Now what you might see is like this end's starting to let go, right? So see that end's fairly loose. So we're not going to go too much, but you're just going to keep chasing it. This one's really nice and stuck, so you're going to end up having to probably cut the whole distance, the whole circumference of the pan. And as you're getting closer, I'm just going to put a little pressure on that. I'm going to go to the other side. So you can see it's definitely lifting, But we don't go real crazy on that. The main workhorse is the putty knife cutting the gasket. See, now you're right from the other side. So I think you might just have a little gasket in there, and then it should be pretty ready. There you go. It's a lot of work just to get it off. And now you have a lot of work. Razor blade scraping all that FIPG off. Now we're gonna, wow, this thing's got a lot of junk in there. Huh. But yep, a lot of prep work getting this ready. Razor blade this, razor blade that.
Nice.
You could use the putty knife, but you'll find that razor blade will be nicer. You're just really trying to cut the bulk of it off, and then we'll use a roll-lock bristle disc, and you'll see it'll work nice. Yep, so something like that. Or if you want to be fast, let me show you something. We can just rip it. Here, you hold this for a quick second. It's all right if you, well, I'll zoom out so that way I can be a little sloppy with my filming. Right, but you're just kind of ripping it. You can even cut it like this. Right, so we're just scraping it up. Is it good for the razor blade to do that? Not really, but it's fast. How you doing, Russ?
Not much to say. We got a wire wheel in there.
Yeah, we're gonna do the bristle disc after this, but this is gonna get the bulk of it off. Then we'll clean all this stuff. We'll roll lock disc it, clean it again really good. All right, so now we're on the trickier part. Like, you could do a couple things. You could put your hand, or you could get a piece of cardboard. But yes, you definitely want to try to keep this away from the engine. Now normally this is upside down because it's an oil pan, so it's a lot easier. Right now it's much more comfortable, but gravity's working against you a bit. So we're pulling all this away. And then like your oil pan, let me have a look at that. So see, you got the big stuff off. That's good. But this is not near clean enough to be installed. You know that, right? So what we're gonna get, I got set up here from me Otro Amigos. All right, you want to test this out? You got those glasses. Let's see how you do. You got the air hose. Abdul's bringing it. Abdul's paying attention here. So when you do this, that's what's going to really finish this up. It doesn't have to be totally bare, but it should be smooth. There should be really no gasket material left on there. You want to try it? Want to try? Let's go. Let's get after it here. Here we go. Now you can hear it okay because you got your safety glasses on. Yeah, get it. Harder. Just hold it wide open. Like this. Alright, hold right there. So look, this is pretty good. In fact, actually what you got in here is good to go. So if you notice, this still has gasket material, but this is pretty clean. And you're keeping it moving because that's plastic and this is steel. Don't even worry about, like, you're not grinding material away from the metal. It would take you like hours to grind the metal down, so it's not gonna happen. So just keep buzzing what you're doing. And then give it a little angle here. And then a little angle on the outside. Yeah, like that. That's okay. That's going to be all covered in FIPG. In between all this cleaning, we're just about ready to bring it over to the parts washer. In the meantime, make sure they're not dropping anything. All right, so same type of cleanup on the engine side, but trying to not get the debris inside the crankcase and whatnot. Oh, look at that oil filter, man. So that one, especially the critical thing is, if all that goop flies in here and gets on the oil pan, it's gonna get sucked up in the sump right there, the oil pump pickup, and that'll clog this up, and then it'll run with no oil pressure, and you know what you'll have on your hands. You'll have no longer a leaking oil pan, you'll have an engine that's got a rod knock or seized up or something, so be very careful about debris. Sometimes you could also use paper towels, pack them in there, but get that gasket prepped. All right, so you're gonna give this some hand attention here, and then we'll get the whiz wheel going. We're gonna get this oil pan cleaned up. Let's go right now before this car comes. All right, so this will be the cleanup here. Just gotta get it going. So yep, just what you guessed. We're gonna scrub that baby all out. Get all that junk out of there. Yeah, scrubby, scrubby, scrubby. And then we'll clean the backside too. That way when we put it on the car with the new RTV and everything, it's no longer oily residue. It's clear that the leak has been fixed. Clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it. All right, so make sure all that oily residue is gone because we gotta have no oil on all this surface for sure. All right, so Jesse's got it nice and clean now. Ooh, that's beautiful. But, and we gotta go for this, but we need to know how wide of a bead this FIPG is gonna be, so you gotta pull up service info on that, right? 2022 Camry. All the big dogs. All right, back to that. So, Jonathan decided he wanted to do it how it would be in the car. And get it nice and clean. We'll roll it over, we'll get that cleaned up, and then look, talks about the number 2 oil pan subassembly. You'll notice it's calling for Toyota Genuine Seal Packing 3 bond. We got that standard seal packing diameter 2.5 to 3.5 millimeters. And it's standard all around. So 2.5 to 3.5, cool, and that's the dimensions it shows. So we could make a 3 millimeter bead. We'll get ready. All right, so we're gonna put the final finishing touches on this. You see, this is all great, and this still needs some love here. So Jonathan's working on that. Jesse and I are gonna go ahead and get this ready. Now, we just pulled this out of the parts washer, but if you have any doubt, you'd go ahead and you could clean the surface with brake clean. And I'm gonna try to do it left-handed without making a huge mess, right? And then we would go ahead and dry that because you can't have any oil on here. If you have a coating of oil, this will not seal for sure. So you can just wipe that. But the parts washer was clean, you know, so it's probably not totally necessary. If you want to do it real quick, give me that paper towel, a nice clean side. Just wipe the gasket surface like that. No oil, no oil, no oil. All right, good. So this one's ready. Now we got to get ready for that about, what did we say? About a 3 millimeter bead. So you can look at this. That upper one is pretty tiny. Go ahead and give it a cut. Maybe like just this, see where my nail is? Yeah. A little closer to the base of that second step. Okay. But I'm gonna hand it to you because I don't want you to cut. Well, look at that. That's a nice tool, not a weapon, but a tool. Some people will cut it at an angle, but you could do it straight. Now look at the size of this. This is gonna help us set the bead size. I think actually we should go right to the step. That looks a little smaller than I thought.
An angle? Or?
It's up to you. Okay, like it like that. Now pick a spot where you want to start, and then what I want you to visualize, we're not going to be super precise, but let's go ahead and grab the 10 millimeter socket, 10 millimeter wrench. That's an 11. Might be. Look, it looked like the 10. I was looking through the screen. This is 10 millimeters. So if you're looking for 3, it's like a third of that, right? So when you be seeing people laying a bead as big as the 10 millimeter, that's just excessive. And that's going to end up, some of it's going to end up inside the engine, right? So reference the 10 and then know about, like, start laying a bead, and I'll tell you what I think. Ready? Okay, now you're ready. So we'll start right here, okay? And the other part is you never go on the outside of the circles. So I'm going to go ahead and start near a circle. You go inside, or you could go around. You could do both sides. Sometimes I will. Oh, this one, you know what? I don't think I poked it. I did, but it's a little dried up, so I got to clear it out. I was all ready. It was all sorts of ready, and then I realized this is not a brand new tube, so it needs a little bit of love. Oh, we took your pick out, didn't we? Here it is. You just got to clean it out with the pick. Okay, get rid of this goop. I'm sorry, we're going to sacrifice your paper towel here with the goop. Clear the goop out. See, now I got some fresh goop coming. All right, here you go. It's like making a cake. Probably. All right. Inside, or sometimes I'll do a full circle, which is not really necessary, by the way. Now I'm gonna make a mistake right here on purpose. I want you to point I want you to show you something. You notice right here it's light, right? That's a leak, just letting you know. So if you mess up, no problem. Come right back over the top. It's not really supposed to be beautiful, but you gotta make sure you get about a 3 millimeter or so. Even if it's kind of ugly, that's okay. All right, now I want to pass this off and let some people practice. Who wants to practice? Making a cake. All right. See, this isn't hard. There you go, if you really want it. Hey, 3 millimeter, how is that?
Pretty good.
Oh my goodness. And remember, the range was, what was the range? 2 to 3.5?
2.5, 3.5.
2.5 to 3.5.
Yeah.
So again, if you're worried about it, you know, you can always go back over and add a little.
Yeah.
If you're at 4, if you're at 5, I'm not mad. If you're at 10, it's kind of like, seriously, you just don't know what 3 millimeters is at that point. And that's the stuff that ends up excessively in here and ends up stuck in that oil pickup.
I know on the GR.
Now the other thing we want to keep in mind, this is going well, right? But you guys want to pick up the pace if possible, because remember, within 15 minutes we want this on the engine with the bolts in and the bolts tightened, maybe not totally torqued yet, right? So we got to cruise, especially because it's hot out today. So as they're doing that, this is what you and I'll do. This needs to get brake cleaned. No oil residue. So like I'll find a little residue and I'll show you what a failure point would be. Like see this? That's got a residue. That's a leak right there. I guarantee that's gonna leak. Just clean it with that, but the paper towel is, rather than just dousing it, you don't want to use the paper towel pretty heavy. We don't need that anymore. The RTV is removed enough, but we need to get rid of all the oil. Yeah, wet that and then run it over there, and if it's anywhere heavy, you can spray it, but you don't necessarily want to go all crazy. All right, keep that thing moving, and let me come behind you and look. And you'll notice I'm not going to touch, so here's the difference. Oily, clean, right? Go especially heavy on the cleanup in that area where it was really oily. Where was that laying? This was, oh, okay. So it needs to come through, pop it back through how it was. Okay, we're good. And Abdul, I accidentally touched a little bit more there, so it needs to be re-cleaned. Now for something like that, that would be okay to do, like this is fine. You just don't have to go crazy.
So this is fine, even though I didn't like take this off fully.
Yeah, that's not loose. I mean, it's great to get it cleaner, but this would really seal. It gets a little tough in this area because these bolts sit up, so we could run with that. Not if there's any oil on it though. Make sure there's no oil on that. And then as soon as this is ready, let's get this over here and let's get it set and let's get the bolts in. And you're lucky because this one has studs, so it's actually pretty easy to align. It's a beautiful cake, but you got your sleeve in it there, Sonny. So you made a leak right there, but it's good for the video because you guys are new and you're learning. But that would be, you know, if you get a car from the factory with 50 miles on it and it's leaking, now you know how that happens. Humans are still involved in the manufacturing process, so humans make mistakes. Computers allegedly don't, but I'm just gonna leave that alone. This artificial intelligence is a little low. Okay, you like it? Get it on there. Look it over, make sure you don't have any light spots, and let's get it on there. So this one, so you guys know, they're students. They're awesome students. They're learning, okay? We don't need your YouTube attitudes of, oh, that's why you don't take it to the dealership. Flip it over so you can comprehend it better. Maybe put your hand right there. See, like you'd be going up to it with the car, that'd be normal, right? You like that? Now, find a stud and aim for the stud. Cool? Nice. Teamwork for right now is okay. See, it's tough because you're kind of started upside down. All right, finding the studs. A little this way. Okay, make sure you get all the studs. Set it down. Now remember, 15 minutes from when we apply that stuff, we need to have these bolts in, otherwise that's asking for a leak. And then we need a minimum of 2 hours to add oil to this. Get some bolts in there, We'll just snug them and then we'll look up the torque spec a little bit after. I think it's pretty low. It's probably like 16 inch, no, it's probably way under 16 foot-pound. It's probably really low. It's gonna be in inch-pounds. All right, so we'll get those babies spun up. Let me see that for a second. So again, we'll look the torque spec up, but for now, we're just gonna snug it, okay? So I did like a strong snug, keep it rolling. You might even do it sort of on a star. So come over here and get this one maybe. And get them spun down, get them spun down. And get them all spun down, and then we'll come back through with the torque wrench and do it to spec. So basically, you guys get to see this is, you know, it's kind of against the clock, keeping your stuff organized, keeping everything really neat, making sure that we get them all started before we start really snugging them up. But these ones line up pretty good because they have studs. And then get them all snug, waiting. And this won't leak. This, even though we made a couple mistakes along the way, this turned out fine. This is going to be a good seal. All right, so that's your oil pan reseal, which happens to be out of the car. In this case, it's the same as if it's in the car, except you can see it better right now.